Okay, so this might be the part two where you say, okay, Steve, you want me to call somebody directly. You want me to call the CEO, even if it's a small company, directly, like on the phone or even email? That's crazy. That's doesn't seem right. Well, it's not crazy, and it can be very, very effective. But it can be real kind of fearful too. And we're going to learn about how to overcome that fear and what exactly to do here in a moment. But just think about fear. This little kind of image here: false evidence appearing real, right? And there's nothing to fear but fear itself. I've worked with many CEOs of large companies, but a lot of small and medium companies as well too. And let me tell you, they may be rich in some cases, some not so, especially small and medium companies, they're not. And but they're really regular people in the end. They have their idiosyncrasies for sure, but they're not any different or certainly not any better. Certainly not better as a human being than you or even me, but certainly not better than you. So, and think about it, we have nothing to lose, right? If you call the CEO of a small business, what's he going to do? What's the worst thing to do? He can hang up on you. Probably not going to hang up on you, by the way. They're not going to be rude, but they'll say, yeah, just do the application online and that'll be it, right? But at least you tried and you have nothing to lose. And what if it did work out? What if the CEO has been trying to find people for a position and working with maybe another person below them? They're like, gosh, we're having a hard time filling the spot. Let's talk about this a little bit more. What are your skills again? What do you bring? And they might have a quick little interview with you right there, like 3 questions or 2 questions. Okay, that doesn't necessarily happen all the time. You might not be able to get through to them, but understand fear. You have nothing to lose, and what if it works out, right? So let's talk about calling directly, and then you can apply this to your email as well, and how to do that. So when you call, what do you say? What kind of format do you use with that? And here's kind of a good basic format, and I'll have an example in a moment. So first thing you do is you say your name, right? That's just the common courtesy thing. You don't just launch into something. You say, hi or hello, my name is, and your name. My name is Steve Ballinger, and I saw your opening for ABC position. And then you add a little bit more to that, as we'll see. And so it's basic phone skills, right? But you're going to really you're going to jump into that with even without him. You're not going to say like, how you doing or something like that. You want to just jump right into your value, right into it, and be specific on there. So it's easy to understand. Remember, the person's picking up the phone, they don't know you. They don't know who's on the other on the line, and they don't know you from anywhere. So you want to show your value. You want to be specific. You want to be easy to understand what you're saying. Maybe how you helped a competitor or something similar, or did some project, such a one sentence thing here, and we're going to show you that example. And then, if you got some measurable results, that can be real powerful too. So it's your name, the opening you saw, so they know the context. You're going to hit them with some great value thing, and then you're going to ask for a next step. And particularly if you're talking to a CEO, that next step might be not, do you want to hire me right now? I just gave you one great value thing that I did, one great value proposition. You're going to hire me? You're not going to hire. You got to get more than that. Or let me give you a couple more and then you'll hire me. They're not going to do that either. What will probably happen is they'll say, yes, please apply, but let's set up at best on what we're really looking for. Let's set up a time for you to come in for an interview, or please contact this person is usually what they'll say. They'll say, okay, that sounds good. We're really looking for somebody, contact this person. And you think about when you contact that person, you've got now a reference where you're saying, yes, I was talking to your CEO. He said, I should talk to you. Well, that sounds a lot better than like, hi, I'm Steve from nowhere, right? So what does this look like? So let's do a not so good example and a good example so you can kind of see the difference between those and make it less scary too as well in the process. So here's the not so good example, and I'll read it just in case people are just kind of listening instead of can see the screen. And you might call up and you say, hello, and you put in the name, and we'll walk through it. So hello, Mrs. Pratt. My name is John Doe, and I'm calling regarding the opening for a digital marketing manager. I'm a hard worker, and so I believe I'd be a perfect fit for your company. All right, so let's think about that. Let's say somebody called you like that, and you were hiring for somebody. Would you think that was compelling? Would they want you to learn more, really, or ask questions? Like, no, that's not compelling at all. It's like, okay, that's nice. Well, thanks for your call. What I need you to do is, go online and submit an application. All right. Well, you could have done that without the phone call. That's not necessarily really helping you. So that's not so good example. Think about it. There's nothing real compelling on there. Now let's look at this example. And again, you will adapt this example to you, this good example here, to things that will work for you if you're calling directly. And it's short, but a little bit long, but you want to keep it short. This first opening statement. Hello, Mrs. Pratt. My name is John Doe, and I'm calling regarding the opening for a digital marketing manager. By the way, I helped ABC Incorporated on their last campaign that resulted in an increase of 20% click-throughs, and even better, increased their sales, their actual sales, by 15%. I believe I would be a perfect fit for your company, and I'm just wondering, who should I talk to share even more detail around that and other ways I can help your organization? And then you pause and see what they say. Now let's deconstruct this sentence a little bit. So first, let's see, is this compelling? What's compelling about it? Well, the first part's exactly the same as the not so good example, which is okay because that's the part where you say your name and the position that you're applying for, so to set the context. But the next part is very compelling. I helped a competitor or maybe a similar company or maybe a company that's not similar, but I helped somebody with my digital marketing skills to increase their click-throughs on their, like, let's say, email campaign, assuming the person you're talking to knows what a click-through is. And let's say I helped them with their, but the main thing that everybody will understand is that, boy, you increase sales by 15% with that campaign. That's the kind of people anybody wants to hire that can increase sales by a good double-digit amount. So that's a compelling thing. It's like, wow, okay, that's great. That's interesting to whoever you're talking to. Is like, that's interesting. Perfect fit. The reason by the way, I use the word fit is, remember early in the course, we're talking about companies hire for fit. So it's a way to say I'd be great for your company, or I could say I'd be a perfect fit for your company, because people want to hire people that fit in their particular organization. And you're not asking for an interview. You're not asking for a job right now. All you're wondering about, all you are asking for is, who should I talk to? Who would be the right person to talk to? This would be really good if you're calling the CEO of, let's say, a small or medium business, or any business really. But, if you're calling somebody directly, because then they can kind of, direct you to the next step, or to the right person. So you're closing for an easy next step. You're really asking for an easy next step. You're not saying, so I think I'd be a great fit, and do you want to give me a job? By the way, I need to be paid $85,000. What do you think? Can I have a job? Well, no, that's not going to go anywhere. But all I'm asking for is, who should I talk to? Can you tell me who I talk to? So what's going to happen with this result? Let's say you did this. Now, the same thing could happen where they'd say, because it becomes a numbers game, like, yeah, just apply online, we'll be in touch with you. Don't call us, we'll call you. That can happen. That's okay. But this is much more compelling, and you're closing for that easy step. So two things usually will result. And the first thing would be like, wait a minute, who are you again? Because they're just taken by surprise, like any phone call. They could be calling saying, yes, I'm from the fire department. Your house is on fire. Like, what? What's going on? My house is on fire? Who are you? So it's the same thing like this. So that's okay, because then you can kind of repeat what you just said. That your name, your position, and that a little formatted version of, like, I've got this great experience. I've got many different ways I've helped companies. Like when I helped ABC company increase their click-throughs by 20% and 15%. And then you kind of have that conversation. And if they start asking you questions on that, who are you again? That's terrific. Answer the questions and start having that initial dialogue or conversation. That you might be able to set up an interview right there with discussing further with the CEO or somebody they designate, especially for small companies. But either way, you're in, right? You've broken that ice, you're in. Or they may say very simply, oh, okay, well, that sounds very interesting. You need to contact Sergey Voltov. He's our VP of marketing, our vice president of marketing. And you'd be like, oh, that's terrific. You'd say, oh, that's terrific. Thank you so much. I'm really appreciative. I think your company's great. I'm really looking forward to talking to Mr. Voltov, right? And then you end the conversation there, right? So, because what was the great victory here? We got Sergey's name, right? We got Sergey Voltov's name. If you don't have their contact information from the website, you can say, oh yeah, I was looking at your website. I have Sergey's contact information. I'll give him a call right now. Or I'll contact him. If you don't have the information, certainly ask the person, like, oh, thank you so much. I'll definitely call Mr. Voltov. Do you have a phone number for him? Or can you send me to the receptionist? Can she connect me? Or something like that. Or you could just leave it at that and then call the company, and you can, do your research and find Mr. Voltov's contact information. Now you're going to call Mr. Voltov, Sergey Voltov in this case, and you're going to say, hello, Mr. Voltov. My name is Steve Ballinger, or John Doe, and I'm calling regarding the digital marketing position. And I was talking with the CEO, Ms. Pratt, about how I helped ABC company increase their click-throughs by 20%, and their sales, I helped their sales by 15% too. So we had some great results on that campaign and some other campaigns as well. So Ms. Pratt said I should talk to you and talk to you in more detail about this position, and ideally I'd really like to set up an interview. And then pause. And they're like, what? Okay, but mainly the thing they're going to hear is, Miss Pratt, CEO said I should talk to this guy on the phone. Okay, how powerful is that versus somebody out of the blue? Like, oh, what else did you talk about with Miss Pratt? Oh, we talked about this and that, or maybe nothing else. You know, mostly just about the campaign. And she thought, boy, I should really talk to you, right? I mean, maybe I'm a little slicker. I don't know. It'll take some practice, but you know, the idea is you're kind of following this format or this way of doing this to put yourself in the best light, make it easy for them to take easy steps. Now with Mr. Volthoff, what am I closing for? What am I looking for that easy step? Not another contact. Now I'm looking to do an interview. And I'll come in for the interview and I'll fill out your job application, all your paperwork when I get there. I'll do it online, but I want to get an interview date and time when I get to this step, if I can get to this step. So that's the key. And think about all those resumes they're screening out and all those people, and you just jumped to the head of the line, or at least to this very small pool, because you took the initiative proactively, overcame your fear a little bit, right? Overcame the fear, and you know, made a call. And by the way, you can take the same structure and adapt it to email as well. So if you don't have a phone number or anything, just adapt it to email as well and put it in a more written form. And again, what you're looking to close for. And remember, as far as false evidence appearing real or fear, you've got nothing to lose. And what if it works out? Think about how perfect that would be. So it doesn't work out all the time, of course, or you don't even have that contact information, so it's harder to find. But with small, medium businesses in particular, or if you get lucky and they listed a contact on there, go out and reach out to them. It can really make a difference for you in your job search. And wouldn't it be great to get that next great job because you took that extra effort and sent an email at minimum, or maybe you made a phone call. Remember, they're looking for great people like you.